gals, Never here from Drake Queen Gaming, and 70 Mounts for the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Violet Memoir, Leigh's Path. So let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? If y'all hear any weird noises in the background, I'm at my parents' right now, and the cats are, playing around the entire house. So let's go ahead and jump right in, shall we? Alrighty. I don't know which side of him I like more. Oh, this is Leigh. I don't know which side of him I like more, and that's more dangerous than any other thought I could have. Well, it's hard to deny that his soft-spoken demeanor isn't appealing. It's when he shows that fierceness underneath that makes my heart race in a way that I know is a completely bad idea. He's kind, but he's always willing to speak his mind. He's not afraid to say what he thinks, and he's even willing to stand up to me. Despite all the effort I've put in to make myself completely and utterly unapproachable, he still walks up to me like he has nothing to fear from me. And he's right. But when he shows that strong spirit that's dying to crawl out, it makes me want to entice it and see where it goes. There's times where I wonder if he's even more dangerous than me. And those thoughts are the worst, because they make me want to see more. It's hard to see him as just a kid whenever he does that, and there's a part of me that doesn't want to. The irresponsible voice in my heart that I thought died when I left high school is creeping its way back and stronger than ever. But I can't linger on these thoughts right now. Not when Bethany is watching me so intently. I wouldn't want her picking up anything that's running through my head. She probably already has. Are you doing okay? Graham says you're working hard, but he always speaks highly of you. But he mentioned that he's worried you don't get out often. I'm fine. Despite how much I've grown over the last couple of years, I suddenly feel myself regressing back to that petulant teenager trying to act like I didn't just sneak out to a club with a fake ID again. I'm sorry, we're doing good. Thank you for everything you've done. Charlie's doing good in school and doing okay in school, and she's great at soccer. She wants to play professionally. Isn't that amazing? She always was feisty. I expected her to do great things, but don't forget about yourself. You're working, attending college, and taking care of your sister. That's a heavy burden. I'm glad you have a friend like Wallace. He seems sweet. He is. He always sees the best in people, even when he shouldn't. He certainly gives me more of a chance than I'm worth. I don't know why he's so interested in me. He gets along with Oscar like they're good friends, and he's got a lot in common with Lucas. But he's always gravitating towards me. I don't know why that is. I'm not sure if I want him hanging out with someone like Oscar, but they're certainly better meshed than the two of us are. It must be boring by comparison. You've got that look on your face, Ashley. What look? That look when you start thinking bad about yourself. We're over this. Charlie doesn't blame you for anything that happened in that house. It wasn't your fault. It's not about her. That wasn't the response she'd been expecting, and if I'm being honest with myself, I hadn't really expected that answer either. It's water I'm not sure I'm ready to tread yet. 1 second now. Time to drink. Not alcohol, mind y'all. That comes after the video. Probably gonna have a shot. Alright, we share a look, and I'm trying to silently convey that I don't want to talk about this topic yet. I've never been one to stray away from tough talks, but this isn't like that. This is something I don't want to face yet. Or ever. With all the small talk out of the way, there's only the topic that we've both been avoiding since I walked into this house. She mentioned it once, but I could tell she didn't want to get into it with Wallace around. I wish he was still here. He's got such a large presence for someone so small. It makes me want to sit up straighter and hold my chin up, despite my tendencies for a slouching, not giving a fuck attitude. The kids still miss you. Aaron and Jeremy left to go stay in an apartment together. Some of the younger ones kept asking about where you went. They'd love to see you again. Aaron and Jeremy? They've left already. They hadn't even started high school when I finished. How are the kids? They're doing well. They're always sneaking out, but you know how teenagers are these days. She gives me a knowing look, and I don't give her a response because what can I say? There was rarely a night when I wasn't sneaking out to some hookup or going to a club. Shit, it was such a mess. But thinking about yesterday, it's hard not to miss some of it. The awful hangovers, the shitty drinks can stain the past, but I can't deny it wasn't enjoyable wearing some of my old things again. I must look like a stranger to her now. But no matter how much I miss some of it, there's always a large smudge that looms over every positive memory, clouding it into something awful. You know why I haven't come back. There's too many bad memories. I know. For Charlie, right? It's an out. She always does this. Whenever we start talking about him, she always gives me a way to escape. But I can't keep being that kid who pretended it didn't happen. No. It's an admission. One that I should have made to her a long time ago. But it's the pain in her eyes that brings back the memories of showing up at her house, covered in bruises or worse. She never knew of it from home or from the streets. Both could be cruel. Has he come looking for us? Even though we never told Father where we were going, he would have known. There's been too many instances of the cops having to take me to shelter for them to not alert my father. But her gaze hardens in a way that makes me sit up straighter and kind, because she's going to say something harsh, but she knows I can handle it. Never. I've never heard nor seen anything from him, not once. It should hurt that her father completely abandoned us after we left and didn't even attempt to find us. Others might find it sad, but to me, this is the best answer I could have hoped for. He didn't care. He didn't care about either of us. And I wouldn't have it any other way. The less of that man in my life, the better. There's no mending that bridge. He torched a long time ago. I'll come around and see the kids more. I'll help out when I can. I know Charlie will want to come in, and it'll look good on her college application, too. Wells will probably... Leigh. Her tone is even harder than before, and it's clear this isn't Bethany anymore. This is Miss Corinne. Yes, ma'am. Why are you at college? What are you hoping for? The sudden question leaves me confused, but the serious look on her face tells me this isn't anything to joke about. She still has that look in her eye, and that reminds me so much of my mother that it burns. I'm trying to get a degree so I can get a higher paying job. I'll be able to support Charlie and... What about your current job? You could do more than fine with that. She deserves more than just the occasional pocket money. We've been saving for years for fuck's sake, and she's barely got anything. What happens if something happens to me? What about you? Now both of our voices are raised, and I'm glad the kids are still playing outside. No child deserves to hear their parental figures screaming in the room next to them. What about me? Don't you get to have some happiness? Don't you get to do what you want? Jesus Christ, Leigh, you're nearly 24, and when was the last time you did something that wasn't for the sake of that little girl? My mind goes back to yesterday, seeing Wallace looking so shaken that a single breeze might cause him to fall apart. The thought of him going home alone that day, looking pale enough that he might vomit any second, sleeping alone in a college dorm just as shitty as my apartment. The idea of that was worse than anything that hallucination or dream or whatever the fuck it was could produce. I'd cradle him in my arms all night if I could. Fuck, I basically did. She could sense my hesitation. Her expression simmers down into only a scowl. She glanced at the door like she can read my mind, and I know she's figured it out. But she doesn't say anything because doing it for him is just as bad as doing it for her. Leigh, did you enjoy taking care of the children here? Once again, the change of topic leaves me reeling, and I'm nearly stumbling over my words trying to keep up with this woman. Every day. She smiles at that. There's a fierceness in her eyes that tells me she's decided on something, and I have a feeling I'm not going to like it. I'm planning on retiring soon. These old bones can only take care of this many kids by herself for so long. You're leaving? What will happen to the shelter, the kids? Shush, child. I'm not closing the shelter, nor am I leaving. I'm just stepping down from being the only one in charge. I want to spend my time for myself more. You should leave to try it. But what will happen? I'm going to look for someone who can take over for me. I was hoping it could be you. What? Me? But you wouldn't have to live here, nor would you have to spend all your time here. I just need someone who can handle the house during the day. I promise it will pay generously. I don't want any handouts. Oh gosh, no, there won't be any handouts here. You've taken care of these kids before. You know plenty that this isn't just a simple babysitting job. Just trying to get the teenagers to go to school is hard enough. She's right about that. Despite there being 7 other teenage students living with us, I was the only one who kept going to school, and only because I needed to get the education to support Charlie. Even Vicky was already dropped out when I brought him here. He never went back either. Why would you want me? Truly, because I know how you are around those boys and girls, even the older ones. It was hard work, but you were proud. Like, one more time. I know you love being there for those kids, and I know you would hate any job that a degree would get you. That's not true. She reaches over and I flinch despite my best efforts not to. Just a slight movement, barely noticeable to the eye. But it might as well have been a car crash with how loud it felt. Her eyes immediately soften and she continues to extend her hand, leaving just inches from my cheek, waiting for me to let her know it's okay for her to touch me. She always checked whenever things got heated between us. I always appreciated that. With a small nod from me, she cups my face with her and her long claws comb through my fur, tickling the sensitive skin underneath it. You're always doing everything for her, but have you ever asked her what she wanted? You know she'd never want you to put yourself into a job you hated just for her. I know, but what do you want me to do? Drop out of college after all the work we just did to get me accepted? Of course not. I wouldn't employ you if you didn't have a degree. I wouldn't let just anyone take care of my babies. Her soft laugh is enough to break all the tension between us, but that only leaves the heavy weight of what she's offering. And it's heavy. I couldn't. Take your time, dear. Don't decide now. You have years ahead of you, but I want you to follow your heart more. You're so lost in here. She taps my skull with her claw, the carefully filed tips just blunt enough for it to only bring emphasis on her words. That you forget about here. Her hand trails down to my chest, hovering over my beating heart, one that's only beginning to calm down after our exchange. Don't deny yourself that. You're at college. A time for discovery. I'm 23. I've discovered myself plenty. Oh, child, you're young. There's always time to discover more. Don't let this offer haunt you. Keep it in the back of your mind and focus on the days ahead. Have fun. Go take that nice boy on a date one night and spend time taking care of yourself. I don't even deny that she implied what she implied about me and Wallace, because it would only be disingenuous and an insult to the bond Bethany and I have. Okay. Promise me? I promise. Her whole face brightens and she gives my cheek a playful slap and pinch before leaning back on her chair. She looks more proud of herself than she did when she managed to get me into Everwinter University. And that's saying something. She wouldn't stop dancing around the place. She tripped over poor Timmy. The poor kid was crying for hours. I had to sleep in bed with him that night just to calm him down. They've been trying so hard to get me into Everwinter University. I've never been the brightest tool in the shed, and I can't study to save my hide, but Bethany would spend whatever time she could to help me pass my exams. The interviewers weren't ashamed to tell me that I barely scraped by, and it was only due to my circumstances, some very good letters of recommendations, and a large amount of community service I did at the shelter. Bethany even managed to wrangle me a scholarship. It was tough work, but she managed to scout out a small one for helping those in unfortunate circumstances. It helps with the bills. That alongside work at the garage is enough to pay off rent and food without dipping into my savings, but barely. If I miss any hours, I have to make up the money myself. I honestly don't know what I did to deserve this woman's help. Sometimes like this, so that I wonder if my mother was right and there is a God. But then I remember everything else, and that thought pisses me off. You daydreaming about him? He is rather cute. I wouldn't expect him to be your type, though. You always brought home some of the roughest boys. They were bad news, mostly. I wasn't. Just thinking about the past. Being here does that. I can imagine. Good memories, I hope? Good memories. Excellent. Now scurry away and find your little friend. I need to go start on dinner soon. There's a lot of mouths to feed and only so much time to do it. She gets off her seat and begins shooing me away like I'm some unwanted animal that's snuck into her house. Except I know she treats them just as nicely as her kids. We can stay and help if you need. Nonsense. If you want to come back and help out another day, I'm sure we can sort out something, but for tonight, I want you to do what I told you. Enjoy yourself. Go hang out with friends. I bet you haven't gone to a club in a while. She opens the door to the entrance hall. It's empty aside from the chatter of teenagers upstairs and the scurrying cries of the kids running around outside, most of which I've never seen before. You hated it when I went to clubs. I hated that you snuck out to them, got drunk, and then slept with guys old enough to be your father. You were only 16. And I am going to pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank you all for what you do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Kate Silverman. Thank you for going above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. Anyway, if y'all want to get your names in the credits, get access to all of our not safe for work contents as little as $5. Alrighty, I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!